You are being watched more and more each day. Increasingly, your daily activities are being closely observed and recorded. At this point, we are all aware of the pervasiveness of cameras in our lives. They watch us shop, run errands, and they take pictures of us when we don't quite make that yellow light. The nanny cam on the mantle gives mom and dad peace of mind while their son's home with the babysitter. And the one on the doorbell lets you see your local FedEx driver impatiently awaiting your signature. Basic cameras are now dirt cheap, and we put them in just about everything. But how would you feel if I told you that some of those cameras might know who you are the moment they see you? Not the personnel monitoring them, but the cameras and software alone. Advancements in facial recognition software are making these dumb electronic eyeballs smart enough to recognize you from a photo or a few frames of video without the constant supervision of a person. The days of security guards staring at banks of monitors or scrubbing through CCTV footage to track a suspect are slowly coming to an end as computers begin to monitor various surveillance systems simultaneously, all without blinking, getting tired, or distracted. Today we're going to explore the current state of facial recognition systems. We'll briefly touch on how they work, then dive into where and how they've already been implemented, and the general opinion and sentiment of the populations affected by them. The field of facial recognition is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the players involved range from smaller startups to established tech giants. The field is growing at breakneck pace, but what is it exactly? According to Wikipedia, a facial recognition system is a technology capable of identifying or verifying a person from a digital image or a video frame from a video source. While the specific algorithms involved vary a bit, all of these systems share a common basis. Put simply, they work by taking various measurements of the distances between certain facial features, for example, from the tip of your nose to each of your eyes, then assigns numerical values to produce a unique face print or signature for an individual. In the days of big data, its applications are almost myriad. But before the alarmism spills out, let's start by reviewing some more benign and noble use cases. If you're even remotely as old as I am, you might remember the sense of awe you felt when you bought a fancy new digital camera and it put boxes around the faces of the people in its display. This feature allowed for face tracking and blink detection, easy background blurring for portraits, and much more that we undoubtedly take for granted now. Since the days of rudimentary face detection, facial recognition systems now allow users to upload their photos to social media sites and have them scan for faces to discover and tag any recognized individuals automatically. And who could forget the countless Snapchat filters? Beyond that, facial recognition is also widely used as biometric data to provide secure access to both sensitive data on various devices and in both low and high security facilities. Biometrics have played an important role in protecting against both physical and cyber attacks, as they're unique to each individual and can't be shared like traditional passwords, though of course they are not foolproof. Soon, facial recognition systems could likely become your co-pilot, like it or not, and remain there for as long as vehicles lack full self-driving capability. Automakers are working on technology that uses cameras mounted in the car to monitor the driver for signs of fatigue and distraction. If perfected and properly implemented, these systems could go a long way to preventing distracted driving and thus saving lives. So all of this sounds great, right? It's true, facial recognition systems could help revolutionize many parts of our lives. But as with most new tech, the sword is double-edged. Governments and police agencies around the world are hailing facial recognition as the next necessary and logical step in combating crime and keeping the public safe. However, many privacy advocates are raising the alarm, noting that the tech is inaccurate and not ready for use, not to mention the privacy concerns of those affected by it. Even the producers of the technology, while touting the benefits, acknowledge the potential for abuse. The CEO of Digital Barriers, a supplier of the technology, has said that he believes there would be broad public support for the system's use if it were used to intercept dangerous individuals or groups before causing harm on a massive scale. He clarified that he does not agree with indiscriminate use of the technology, though. So where are these systems in use, and what effect has it had on the population? There are many, but we'll look at a few. The UK has long been well known for its extensive array of public CCTV cameras, providing police with the proverbial eye in the sky. While the cameras have been around for a long time, the first implementation of facial recognition technology, called FACEIT, came in 1998 in the London borough of Newham. The system was praised as the next step in the future of policing, and since then the technology has spread far and wide. The official stated purpose of its use is to protect the public by catching suspects, criminals, and terrorists in a way traditional policing cannot. However, this noble cause is quickly overshadowed by significant concerns surrounding facial recognition in its current state today. In July, a UK-based report found that 80% of facial recognition suspects flagged by London's Metropolitan Police were innocent. That is what we call a problem. Privacy advocacy group Big Brother Watch sent a letter to the government stating that the facial recognition system they were adopting hadn't been thoroughly scrutinized. Their director, Silky Carlo, said the following: "What we're doing is putting this to the government to say, please, can we open this debate and have this conversation? But for goodness sake, while it's going on, there is now a surveillance crisis on our hands that needs to be stopped urgently." Many familiar with the issue echo her concerns. The UK Surveillance Camera Commissioner, Tony Porter, also argues that there must be a set of strict standards governing how the technology is used before it is formally adopted by police forces. For the time being, police still have the technology at their disposal for use amongst the general public. China has made no apologies for its endeavor to become a true surveillance state. The Chinese government employs many tools in a bid to monitor and control the behavior of its citizens. These facial recognition systems are already going a long way toward helping them achieve that goal. For some time now, the tech has been commonplace in China. Often sold to its citizens as a modern convenience, it has become an ever-present part of the Chinese lifestyle, where your face can be used for everything from making purchases to opening your front door. As previously stated, most citizens found it more convenient than invasive. However, the Chinese government has a different view. Take this quote from Adrian Zenz: "Surveillance technologies are giving the government a sense that it can finally achieve the level of control over people's lives that it aspires to." China is ultimately using the technology to track where its people are and what they're up to, what places they frequent, and what company they keep. With the help of AI and machine learning, this information can be parsed and consolidated into a factor for their social credit score, or passed along to law enforcement for further follow-up. That AI can also pick out the most subtle of patterns in an individual's data, patterns which people themselves would likely not notice. For example, if Chinese police are aware of a particular hotspot for drug activity, it can easily monitor who travels to and from the location. After several trips of a certain duration, individuals can automatically be flagged for review by police. The police will know when a suspect is home and can show up, interview him, and search his home and personal property for supporting evidence. Now you may think, that sounds like a good thing to me. And when all goes according to plan, it is. But let me pose a scenario. Person A frequents the shady location and is assumed to have a drug problem. Person B often shows up at the same location shortly after, stays for a brief period, then they both leave. It's fairly obvious that the system would flag Person B for further investigation. After all, they're visiting a drug hotspot and are often seen in company with Person A, the known offender. The picture isn't quite as clear as it seems, however. You see, person B is actually the offender's mother who, after many years of watching her son battle addiction, refuses to give up hope in a better future for him. She repeatedly goes to the seedy and unsafe location out of love for her son, and brings him back to his home before returning to hers. She knows it's only temporary, but she's determined to do what she can do in those moments by removing him from that place. While it's true that an investigation would likely reveal that she's innocent, it still puts a well-meaning person through legal stress and hardship. She will still have her privacy invaded, and will likely be more hesitant to help in the future, for fear of what it may look like to the system. It's pretty easy to extrapolate many scenarios with roughly the same result. Now, you're probably not liking some of the compromises being made for the sake of using this technology on the public in the name of safety. You likely also think these privacy violations would never stand in the good old US. We do love our freedom after all. Well, not so fast. So what about back here in the United States? Is the camera in the parking lot tracking your face as you walk to your car? At this point, probably not. But be aware that police departments around the country are using facial recognition systems, including those of New York City, Chicago, and Orlando, just to name a few. The uses vary from the recognition of faces from body cam footage to identifying individuals in photos and videos seized from civilian and CCTV footage of any crimes witnessed. As it stands right now, there is no real-time facial recognition system automatically tracking citizens, especially not across disparate and unconnected sources. However, the groundwork for such a system already exists, and as of today, any footage obtained as part of an investigation could still be run through a system to ID any matches. Multiple sources have reported that the FBI has compiled a database of hundreds of millions of faces that can be searched by face, or facial analysis, comparison, and evaluation, an internal unit of the agency. The database is comprised of images from DMV driver's license photos, police mugshots, and many other sources. U.S. Customs and Border Protection have added facial scanning to several airports, with more still being added. International travelers must present themselves to cameras to have their faces matched against the photos provided for their passport applications. The government has stated that the process is optional. However, critics point out that it's becoming increasingly difficult to opt out. The US is also on the brink of a major shift in marketing practices if regulations don't soon catch up. Companies have gone to great lengths to gather as much shopping data from us as possible, so that they can target us with yet more things to buy. Loyalty cards track our in-store purchases, and our online advertising ID records our online purchases and product searches. From a corporate standpoint, facial recognition systems could give them unprecedented insight into their customer shopping habits, far more than one could receive with a loyalty card. With facial recognition systems, businesses can monitor your in-store habits to see which items catch your attention, whether or not you pick them up for a closer look, and target you with relevant ads even if you choose not to purchase the product. If you need to purchase something from a store and prefer to remain anonymous, it's still reasonably simple to do so. Go to another town, pay in cash, and voila. As long as no criminal investigation is launched requiring authorities to acquire security footage from the establishment, no one that matters to you will be any wiser. In a post-facial recognition society, that degree of privacy could really truly become a thing of the past. Sadly, even our latest technological systems can't escape the issue of bias. Reports have stated that software used for facial identification, recognition, or analysis performs differently based on multiple factors, including the age, gender, and ethnicity of the subject. Gender Shades, a study published in February 2017 by MIT Media Lab, found that facial recognition algorithms from several major companies had error rates of up to 35% higher when detecting gender and darker-skinned women compared to lighter-skinned men. The systems are easily confused by the differences in contrast on darker-skinned people, and are also easily tripped up by other simple cosmetic changes. It's not hard to see how these inaccuracies could further systemic divides among people of different ethnicities. For that reason, many are calling for industry testing and benchmarking of these systems for accuracy. As of now, FRVT, Face Recognition Vendor Test, is available from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST. It's intended to test the accuracy of facial recognition systems in various situations, and how well they do with different demographics. The wonderful part, though, the test is voluntary. So what does the future hold for us? Will we soon find ourselves living in a dystopian society where big government truly tracks your every move and all your friends and associates? China aside, I don't think so. Now that we live in a post-Snowden world, the average US citizen is much more aware of the government's proclivity to spy and collect data on its people. With individual cities and states already putting the brakes on the use of this technology, I believe we now have the opportunity to discuss what we can do with this tech and what we cannot, what the downsides are and how to overcome them, and how to implement it without invading the privacy of everyday people. While our politicians are busy bickering back and forth, I'd like to see some meaningful legislation come forward soon, mandating the uses and, more importantly, restricting the use of facial recognition in all levels of government. There have been some attempts to regulate the industry, but none have been successful. As is always the case in our democracy, it's up to us to make our elected officials aware of the potential problems surrounding this tech, and to let them know that it matters to us and why. Sure, facial recognition systems could revolutionize crime fighting, but it must be used responsibly, and it cannot cost the general population their basic expectation of privacy.